You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
I don't think anybody ever wants to see an injury. But injuries are part of football, and obviously they can have an impact. And then there's one on the A&M side that I think we have to talk about. Wednesday on the SEC Coaches Teleconference, Mike Elko was asked about Chase Basantis and says a little up in the air right now. Well, Wednesday evening when the injury report came out for LSU and Texas A&M, this is the SEC mandated injury report, we learned that Chase Basantis is out. He will not play in the game Saturday against LSU. And I think this one is significant because I think this is the matchup, the most important matchup in Saturday's game between LSU and Texas A&M. It is Texas A&M's ability to run the football. Let me give you a little bit of background on Chase Basantis if you're not familiar. The name may sound familiar. LSU recruited him. I mean, everybody recruited him. He was the number 1 player in New Jersey a season ago. He was the number 46 overall player in the country. One of the top offensive linemen. 6'6", 230, signs with A&M. Last year started every game as a true freshman at right tackle. So you're talking about a legit impact guy. This year moves inside to left guard. He moved from right tackle to left guard where he started every game this year. Saturday against Mississippi State, he suffered what's been described as a lower leg injury. They haven't given more detail than that, but now we know he is going to miss this game. There was video of him. This video is courtesy of KBTX. If you're watching, you'll see it here. This is video of Chase Basantis walking off the field very gingerly and headed to the locker room Saturday against in the game against Mississippi State there at Kyle Field. So far, through 7 games, Basantis had a pass block grade at Pro Football Focus of 71.3 and a run block grade of 73.4. This is a guy who, in both run block and pass block grades at various times this year, has graded out in the 80s. So he is a very, very good offensive lineman for Texas A&M. And as I've said, I believe this is the biggest key of the ball game. It's A&M's ability to run the ball because it's the thing they do very well. There's a lot of people that have asked this week, hey, Matt, where do you think the matchup lies? Like, where's the big matchup advantage, either for LSU or for Texas A&M? And for me, point blank, I would tell you, I think LSU kind of has advantages everywhere. The one where I would say, watch that one, is the A&M rush offense against the LSU rush defense. The Aggies right now are 12th in the country in rushing offense. They average 218 rush yards per game. We all know about Le'Veon Moss from Estruma here in Baton Rouge, who went to College Station. He's got 674 rush yards on the season already. He's averaging over 6.5 yards a carry. He is really good. There's no two ways about it. It's a local kid that obviously you would have loved to have been able to keep home, but he went to College Station, and he has made it pay off this year. He's been great. Their second leading rusher is Amari Daniels, who's averaging 4.2 yards per carry. He's got just under 300 rushing yards on the season, 5 touchdowns. The third leading rusher is Marcel Reed. Now, remember Marcel Reed. When Wegman got hurt, Reed started 3 games in place of Wegman, and he's still their third leading rusher on the team. Look, against Florida, Marcel Reed was really good. 13 carries for 83 yards in that football game. Obviously, Connor Wegman is athletic, but he's not the guy that's going to beat you really as a running threat. He can extend plays, he can pick up yardage, but he's not the guy that they're going to design runs for him where he's really going to be dangerous. So you take a player like Basantis off the field and you weaken the interior of that line, that offensive line, that's undeniably a tick in favor of LSU. Again, I'm not cheering for injuries. You never want to see young people or anybody get hurt, but it's part of the game, and you have to talk about how it may affect an outcome. Connor Wegman, earlier in the week, we talked about the Texas A&M pass offense, the LSU pass rush. and why Weigman has struggled, even against a clean pocket. Remember, that was the most telling thing from last week's game against Mississippi State, where Weigman was, quite honestly, just very bad. Even against a clean pocket, he threw 4 turnover-worthy passes. The 2 interceptions that he had and the 2 that could have been turnovers were all against a clean pocket. So even when he hasn't been stressed, he struggled. So now, if you take away or limit the Texas A&M running game and you make Connor Weigman beat you, it's not to say he can't. He was good against Missouri, but that's the outlier. The Missouri game, he was good. Every other game this year has been a struggle. Against Missouri, he was 18 of 22 for 276. Did not throw a touchdown pass or an interception, but he was super efficient. That's the only game all season when he's done that. When you look at his completion percentage against Notre Dame, he completed only 40% of his passes. Against Mississippi State this last weekend, 15 of 25, a touchdown and 2 picks. It was just, he's not been good. Could he be against LSU? Sure, but he hasn't been, so it would be an outlier. A&M's going to try to run the ball. Even when they've struggled, like the Notre Dame game, they still tried to run the ball. In that game against Notre Dame, they ran it 38 times for 146 yards, for 3.8 yards a carry. They were ineffective, but they kept trying to do it because that's what they want to do. They want to be able to line up and run the ball. When you look at LSU's rush defense, I know where our perspective is, what our perception is because of some of the big chunk plays we've seen. And this has been my contention all season, is that LSU's rush defense has actually been pretty good. They've just given up the big runs. And I know, I'm not saying take out the big runs because the big runs are part of it, but context matters. Like the play Ulysses Bentley made, the 50-yard run on that 4th down for Ole Miss. LSU played it perfectly. Major Burns filled. Bentley sort of had to kick back, parallel to the line back inside. He found a crease, went up, north and south. Jordan Gilbert was right there, just missed the tackle. Like, get him on the ground, and that's a marginal gain. So that's not so much run fits or not being in the right place. That was just an error where you missed a tackle. So I think context matters. And LSU right now is 33rd in the country in run defense, allowing 114 yards per game. It's not like you've seen this run defense give up chunks like 8 and 12 and 6 yards at a time. They're really good, and then, boom, they have a brain fart and they rip off a big one. And the thing that's most encouraging is the last 2 times out, Ole Miss, and I know I just talked about the Bentley play, but the Ole Miss game and the Arkansas game this past week, you've seen that run defense continue to improve. Against Arkansas, that was an Arkansas team that went into that game averaging 199 rush yards per game. Arkansas was averaging 199 on the ground. LSU held them to 38 yards. You had a running quarterback in Taylon Green that was neutralized. You had a good running back in Jaquindon Jackson. Grant, you did get hurt at the start of the second half, but still in the first half was completely ineffective. So, listen, I'm not saying LSU is going to go completely stymie this run game and they're going to hold Le'Veon Moss and A&M to 38 rush yards. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is the key, in my opinion, to the game. When you wake up on Sunday and you check out the box score, I think you're going to be able to look at Texas A&M's rushing offense, and that is going to tell the story of the game. Because if LSU can limit A&M's rush offense, make Connor Weigman beat them throwing the football, I'm not so sure he can, because I don't see the weapons at A&M on the outside that they've had in years past. Like, there is no Evan Stewart on this team. He's now in Oregon. So I don't think, when you look at A&M's receivers, Noah Thomas, 289 on the season, 21 catches. Cyrus Allen is next, 14 for 220. Barber's next, 16 for 158. Jahad Walker, 12 for 147. I mean, you just don't have guys that are popping off the page the way you saw with Trey Harris from Ole Miss, or the way you're going to see with Ryan Williams from Alabama. I mean, LSU's going to face those guys. And those guys are better than the guys LSU has. I don't think A&M has guys that are better than LSU's secondary, so I don't worry necessarily so much about their ability to cover. I worry about LSU's ability to stop the run. If you can stop the run, I think you have an awesome chance to go win this game. And Chase Basantis being out, is a big piece of what Texas A&M does in the running game. And weakening that offensive line is certainly a boost, an unexpected one, but a boost for LSU Saturday going into College Station. By the way, just as we were walking in and Hunt was walking out, he told us the line has gone down to a pick'em. I mean, A&M was a field goal favorite. It had dropped, I'd started around 2.5. Now it's down to a pick'em today. So you've had a lot of professional money, sharp money come in on LSU, which has brought that line down, which would indicate that on a neutral field, LSU would be favored in this football game. If it's in College Station and it's a pick'em, neutral field, LSU would be favored. So certainly would be a big advantage LSU if they were at home. Tigers need to overcome the back-to-back road conference game, the spot on the schedule, thing we've talked about a lot, but there's a lot of reason to like LSU in this football game. They got to go play really, really well to win it. But this is a big piece with Chase Basantis being out.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.